want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Fox News destroys Kamala Harris after she makes a grave mistake that could potentially sink her campaign. So in this video, we're going to talk about it. So as you guys know, we've been doing video after video honing in on the fact that Kamala Harris has not been taking questions from the media, and the pressure continues to mount for her to finally come out and say something. However, she ended up making a huge mistake that could potentially sink her campaign. And the only reporter and news channel actually speaking on this happens to be Fox News. So before we get into this any further, let's play the clip and hear what they're saying.
The vice president spoke for a little bit more than 1 minute in that plainside gaggle that broke the no questions answered streak. But there is no reason to think that her team might need to prep her quite a bit more before she talks for more than 60 or 70 seconds. Case in point, she apparently, according to the New York Times, told a group of uncommitted voters in Michigan that she is open to the idea of an arms embargo, stop shipping some U.S. arms to Israel, which her team immediately had to walk back. Her national security advisor, Phil Gordon, came right out to say VP has been clear she will always ensure Israel is able to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist groups. She does not support an arms embargo on Israel. She will continue to work to protect civilians in Gaza and uphold international humanitarian law. But that's just not going to fly with uncommitted voters who seem to be of the opinion that they had moved the VP on this issue.
This movement has always been about policy shift, about policy change, about saving Palestinian lives in the immediate.
We want her to stop sending bombs to kill people we love.
Vice President Harris, as she tries to establish herself as the top of the ticket, has been looking for places that she can distance herself from President Biden. Gaza policy is believed to be one of those places, but distance from President Biden is going to become a lot harder because next week she is going to be on the campaign trail with President Biden.
Okay, so the big mistake here is this, and it's actually a two-part thing, so pay attention to this. Part number one is the fact that she glossed over Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, who is a huge supporter of Israel, served in the IDF. And there's a part of the Democrat Party that is against Israel. And both Republicans and Democrats have stated that the decision for her to go with Tim Walz was centered around that. And she had to pander to this small part of the Democratic Party that is pro-Palestine and anti-Israel. And so she had to go down that road because she did not want confrontation within her own party. However, she's going to end up having it because, as you guys seen, her policies automatically contradict that part of the Democratic Party. And that leads me to part two, which is she's willing to withhold weapons from Israel. This is what President Biden got in trouble for doing recently, where he was supposed to send weapons ASAP, didn't do it, kept delaying it, kicking it down the road, and then he started getting called out about it. And this could potentially sink her campaign because these are uncommitted voters. These are voters that are not loyal to either party. And they do make a difference in that Rust Belt area, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. That area absolutely makes a difference. And if she plans to win the presidency, she has to win at least one of those states up there. But if she loses them, it's going to put her campaign in jeopardy. So let's continue the video.
And what? She's not going to sit for anybody then? Just TikTok?
No, listen.
I mean, that's what they said.
As a member of the media, I do think it's important that she does sit down for an interview, and I do believe that she will likely do so. With that being said, in all fairness, I think it's worth pointing out that it's not like Kamala Harris was the candidate of 4 months ago or 5 months ago or even 6 months ago or even 3 weeks ago.
Well, that's no one's fault but your party's. They coordinated her.
Hold on a second. She was the candidate of last week, and there was a lot of things that had to happen between last week and this week and next week as we go towards the convention. And so I do think she'll sit down with the media, but I also think she has to talk to party officials. She has to get to all the battleground states. And in contrast, Donald Trump is going to Montana tonight, a state that's not even in contention.
And what he says is he wants to help people down ticket win because he can, because he's ahead in those states. I'm just quoting him from his news conference that he gave for over an hour ago.
But not by all the recent polls.
But I do have a question about when you say when she became the presumptive, now completely coronated by a vocal roll call, a digital roll call, now the Democratic nominee. When voters voted through the primary season, Matt, they thought they were getting Joe Biden. They got hurt. That's fine. That's how they want to handle it on their side. But then you can't complain when the media come calling and want to know what her policies are, because she's been the last person in the room, the last woman in the room, as Biden has said, on every important issue during their administration when it counts for America.
No, I mean, look, past this prologue, we saw this when she ran for president back in early 2019. She can handle the scripted environments where every variable around her is controlled. But when she gets into spontaneous scenarios, needs to think on her feet, that's when it doesn't get as, she gets back on her heels. It doesn't get as pretty for her. And so that is what this press conference that Trump did, was trying to draw her out. And look, for the next 80 some odd days, she's going to try and run the clock out. You know, the open secret here in Washington is that A, she's agreed to a very simple interview with a network, and that B, she's been talking to press off the record. And the idea is you feed them off the record content so they're less likely to want as many interviews from you. And so, look, she's going to try and run the clock with a compliant press corps that follows her around, and she might just do it. It's our job to keep holding her to account.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Off the record for reporters is also off the record by definition with the public, because we can't repeat what's been said in those off-the-record conversations.
Okay, so you guys heard that. And again, we've said this over and over and over again, and we're going to continue to say it over and over and over again, because it's getting ridiculous. She needs to answer questions, but they're not going to let her answer questions because she already made a mistake by saying something as crazy as, I'm going to withhold weapons from Israel. I mean, that right there will probably kill her campaign if the entire media was actually reporting on it, but they don't, right? Because they are propaganda news channels, as I always say. And so the real issue that comes, which is my second point here, is that sooner or later, this is all going to come to a head. And so what needs to happen is we need to continue to collect the receipts. We need to continue to take everything that she said. And when she finally makes an appearance, an actual legitimate appearance, and she is facing tough questions, we can only hope that the people asking them will hold her to account. Now, this brings me to point number 3, is they're just trying to run the clock out. So if you ever watch basketball, if you're up, let's say 15 points and there's 2 minutes left in the game, you're not really trying to rush to get a shot off. Same thing in football. You know, if you're up 2 touchdowns and it's, 3 minutes left in the game in the fourth quarter, you're going to run the ball. You're not going to do anything that could extend the game or get the ball turned over. And that's literally how they are operating her campaign. If they continue to play so she doesn't lose, she will lose. And we have to make sure that Trump, he's playing to win. In that type of scenario, the person who's always playing to win will end up winning.
A new one column titled this: Kamala Harris wants the media to help her run out the clock. Others also weighing in on the media and what Kamala Harris's team may be thinking. Watch.
I would say this to the mainstream media: Kamala Harris is ignoring you because she thinks she already has you. She thinks the mainstream media is already in her thrall and her corner.
As she's been vice president, we've known that we've seen some kind of damaging moments when her speaking to the press. And so I think that is something that's always been on the mind of her office and the vice president herself.
The vice president has had plenty of viral press moments, as we know, and some of them not good.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy.
We need you to be Mamala of the country.
Is the United States willing to make a specific allocation for Ukrainian refugees? And for President Duda, I wanted to know if you think, and if you asked the United States to specifically accept more refugees.
Okay. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Okay, so you guys seen that. There's no shortage of clips like that, of course, which brings me to summing up this video, right? Point number one, we say it all the time. She wants to just run out the clock and make sure that she doesn't put herself in a position where she will have viral moment after viral moment of her saying something stupid. It's really that crazy out there. And number two, I do believe that the Trump campaign needs to continue to try to draw her out, like what Trump did yesterday. That's my mindset about this. What about you? I want to hear what your thoughts are about the fact that she wanted to not provide weapons to Israel and delay that in order to pander to her anti-Israel base in her Democratic Party, which is why she chose Tim Walz and not Josh Shapiro. I want to hear what your thoughts are and more in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video today. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.